Hello and welcome to the 22nd episode of Comic Book Direct, the only podcast that's sponsored by both Thanos and Dave Franco. I'm your host, Ian.
I'm your co-host, Ethan.
And today we're talking about the Civil War II, Marvel's brand new cashing in event. But first, guess what?
What?
You can now find our podcast. Yes, that's right, our very own podcast on iTunes. Simply search up Comic Book Direct, and you can listen to it on the go, wherever you go.
Wow.
Yeah, even space.
Impressive.
If you move to Mars, you can take our podcast with you.
No.
That's not a guarantee, but if you maybe printed out a script of our podcast, you could take it. And you can do that by going to iTunes, listening to the episode, transcribing, the episode, and then going onto a rocket ship and leaving to Mars. 3 or 4 simple steps, and you're there, making history with our podcast.
Yeah.
Let's get into the main topic.
Okay.
So, Civil War II has just recently started, as has Rebirth. We already talked about Rebirth, so we decided to go a little bit down the Marvel route and talk about Civil War II. After all, we both know Marvel a little bit better than we do DC, right? Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. You would hope so?
Yeah.
What's the particular vendetta against DC?
Calendar Man, mostly.
Oh, yeah. He does have shifting tattoos. It's really odd. There was a cover of some certain comic that had his tattoos in one place, and then when you actually read the comic, the very same comic, not even a different comic, his tattoos were in completely different places. So
That's because he's really just good at moving his eyebrows, and
yeah.
With his eyebrows go the rest of his forehead.
He just has a toupee that also includes some of his forehead, and then he just rotates that. It's really bizarre. He has a toupee for baldness.
Yeah.
Crazy. Alright, so what are your first thoughts on Civil War II? Just the main event.
Just the main event.
Yeah.
And by the main event, you don't mean the X-Men, and you don't mean the Gods of War or whatever.
Right, just the main storyline.
Main storyline so far, it's been pretty good. I read Civil War the first one, last week, and then I finished Civil War 2 Part 2 today,
okay.
Actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like it so far. It's been pretty good. They have a good conflict, and I like how Tony Stark thinks he's the good guy. He even said that he was the good guy, because that's what makes a civil war good. It's when both sides kind of think they're the good one.
Right, because these are superheroes. If you're using characters who think they're doing the wrong thing or know they're doing something that's not right, then that would completely go against their character. But I know I keep transitioning for myself. I'll say something and then I'll say speaking of. So I'm going to do that again real quick. Speaking of out of character, I felt like even though I enjoyed the main issue, the issue 0 and the first issue, I feel like Tony was really out of pocket in the second issue, which is kind of the third issue,
Yeah.
He seemed very angry, which would be understandable because of what happened to Rhodey. But then he was also making jokes about his dead friend, which seemed very out of character and very inappropriate. You can't toggle between anger and humor so easily, and I feel like that's not only a problem with the Civil War too, but Marvel as a whole right now. They're relying on some cheap referential humor to sort of drive their comics, even when it makes the comics not as good as is the case with Wade's Avenger run right now, and honestly, most of the All New, All Different. But I feel like especially it's not appropriate here because Civil War is supposed to be reflective and genuine.
And another thing about Tony Stark's out-of-character humor is that
Right.
near the end of the issue, I just remember him smiling. And that smile to me was not... It was not a normal smile. It was
Right.
a really creepy, I'm gonna kill everyone smile.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I feel like they're taking these characters and reducing them to completely different people, like with Captain America.
Right.
So, what did you think about the art overall?
The art so far, I've liked it, other
Mhm.
than the creepy smiles. But
Right.
but you know, they definitely do a good job on that front usually. So
Yeah, I think the artist is good at drawing scenery, but some of his faces are just really off. Yeah, like Steve looks like Miss Marvel, who also looks like Crystal. It's just odd to me. But I'm liking the storyline, liking the art as a whole.
Yeah.
And
then Beast,
uh-huh.
Hank McCoy.
Yeah. Well, he's always kind of drawn really strangely, but then again, so is Miss Marvel. So, yeah. So, how are you liking the tie-ins? You know, Gods of War, that sort of thing.
I like those a lot, and I definitely think they're a very important part of Civil War, because what's always been the best about Civil War is the sort of
Impact.
ripple effect.
Right.
You know, what happens because this happens. And so to kind of see like the X-Men having their own quote unquote Civil War. Yeah. And then even Hercules just off in his own world.
Right.
Those are definitely cool to see kind of how those will affect not only the main storyline, but after how they'll play out.
And that, to me, those tie-ins were kind of the big part of Civil War, the first one. I feel like that really made me love this story. The story was good, don't get me wrong, but the tie-ins are what made it great for me. So hopefully the tie-ins here will also make the story great, though, like I said, not as much expectations, not as high expectations because of the way All New, All Different has gone so far. So what would you say is your favorite tie-in thus far?
I'm gonna go with the X-Men one.
Yeah, I'd agree. That conflict, I really wanted to see this Civil War being between the Inhumans and the X-Men, because with Extinction coming up, I felt like they really should have gone out with a bang in like a big Civil War type setting. But I feel like they did the sort of smart thing. Marvel did the smart thing in making it just tangential war as a result of, the greater Civil War as a whole, because X-Men and Inhumans both tend to try and keep to themselves for the most part, and they're very proud societies, so they might not have really involved the rest of the Marvel universe, because my original hope was that the Civil War 2 would be centered around X-Men and Inhumans, but that one had drawn in all the other Marvel characters, so I think it was smart to first establish the Marvel characters conflict and then bring that to create an X-Men versus Inhuman situation.
Yeah, and it'll definitely be interesting to see Inhumans, because they're in the main conflict and the X-Men are pretty upset at them, so that'll be interesting to see how they kind of balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
If the X-Men join Tony Stark in kind of trying to stop them.
And a lot of people have kind of critiqued this story for being too similar to Minority Report, the movie, which is sort of centered on these precogs who are people who can see the future, and like what's his name, Ulysses, who's the main Inhuman of this event. These precogs could see when crimes would be committed and stop them, right? And it's gotten a lot of critique for that because it's a very similar premise. But unlike the movie, they've kind of gone before the start of it. Like instead of focusing on this time period when precogs were already established, like the movie does, this is kind of showing the setup to precogs being established. And I find that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But also, at the same time, I'm having trouble believing that they had never seen a precog before, or never really had a good one in the Marvel Universe, because, I mean, granted, I couldn't think of one offhand, but I'm sure there are multiple precogs that they could have gone with.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he's not so unique as they're making it seem.
This should have been an event a long time ago, you know? But overall, like I said, I'm liking this storyline. I just really, not as much as the first Civil War, and I feel like Marvel as a whole has been kind of average at the moment, or with All New, All Different. So I hope this puts them back on track, but so far what I've seen does not give me full confidence that they will regain their old sort of demeanor. No?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
What? Did you just say of course?
I did.
Are you kidding me?
I am.
Oh, okay. We're cool. Don't worry. Alright, so there are several planned Civil War II titles that are coming out. Alright? Is there any that you'd like to see, like, whether it's planned or not planned? Are there any real storylines that you'd like to see explored as a result of this Civil War II?
I'm not entirely sure what you're meaning. Could you give me some examples of the planned?
Yeah. Like, I want to see sort of the way that Moon Knight interacts with this whole Civil War II situation, because I know that he's got that sort of vengeance shtick going for him, and you know, how can you have vengeance without having a crime that was committed, right? So I'm interested to see how he approaches a situation, and if he actually involves himself this time in a more outspoken way. But then again, he's been kind of separate from the rest of the All New, All Different universe. One of the few titles I've liked, so however it goes, I'm excited to see.
So I kind of get what you were saying now
Right.
more. And
now that I've explained a full minute.
One of the characters I'm interested in seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he was shown. But already. But Vision.
Vision?
He's
been kind of laying low with his family so far.
He has. But I think that he could be very powerful on both sides. And for now, I believe he's with the Ultimates, right?
Not at the moment, I don't.
I
think
know.
he's with the new Avengers. He's one of the old squad.
I don't know.
It's still there, but
I don't think he's good with Tony. So
right, he's been
I'm interested.
He's
to
been
see.
one of the other good characters in good series. in All New, All Different, and it's been kind of interesting seeing him without really, really, blatant emotions. So he's kind of a little bit reckless. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, that'll be interesting. All right, so if you don't mind too terribly, we're going to move on to our reads of the week. Do you like the kind of build up there?
I did not.
Were you like on a scale of 1 to 10? Would you give it at least a 5?
At least a 5? No, definitely
no?
not.
Okay.
Definitely
you
not.
got my hopes up a little bit there, but
I think it was my inflection.
Yeah, tragedy does strike.
Again.
What do you mean again?
I mean, I give you a 2.
And you sold my house.
I did.
How could you do that? That's 2 tragedies in one day. So what's your read of the week?
My read of the week, other than like 8 different Civil War II titles,
right?
I also picked up some Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Just another spin-off, I guess. I don't even remember which one it was. Some other Spider-Man, but yeah, started at the origin story. Went through a couple of stories, and so that's always a classic,
Good art?
Yeah, good art. Good art. Weird moments, though, because I don't know exactly which one this is, but there will be times where it kind of has Peter Parker alone, and then the circle, and a circle of light, and then darkness all around him. And that's not bad. That's like, oh, symbolic. But then it'll follow it up by people being still around him, and it won't be the end of that scene. There will be people throwing stuff at him again, and that doesn't really work.
Sounds like a very weird and interesting story. Is there any way you could figure out the title?
I could probably go get it, but that would take too long.
Here, see if you can look it up. I'll go with my read of the week. So I've been reading a lot lately from my local library. Pro tip.
Nerd.
Pro tip, I'm a nerd. And so is Dave Franco. So better think twice, buddy, because if the old Dave can do it, then maybe I'm pretty cool, huh? Huh? Think about that?
Thought about it.
Did you, accept it, process it, come to a good conclusion?
I have.
Okay.
You're a nerd.
Great. Well, that's hurtful. But I did go to the library, and pro tip, that is a great place to go for comics, because usually they'll have a pretty wide selection, and hey, it's free. So I picked up a ton of titles, some of which included Gambit, Avengers World, what's the Ultimates, the old one with Miles Morales and Cloak and Dagger and everyone, Masters of Kung Fu from Battle World. Hold on, I'm reading them real quick. Future Foundation, a lot of that sort of thing. And the one that really stood out to me was honestly Avengers World. I really like the character of Ex Nihilo. Nihilo? I don't know. I know that's a common saying, but for whatever reason I can't say it right now. But I love those characters. The storyline was great. The art was great. And one of the characters that really stood out in both Avengers World and Masters of Kung Fu is Shang-Chi. Have you heard of him?
I have. He does sound very familiar.
I think I told you about one of his pets in one of the earlier episodes, which is like a cat named Cat, I think.
Oh yeah.
Something like that.
That was a bit of a giveaway.
But it was interesting to see his sort of two different sides, because in the Avengers World he was more composed and very respectful, because he's a resident of Kunlun City. Kunlun. But yeah, he was very respectful, very entertaining. And then you go to Battle World, which admittedly doesn't really matter to the main continuity, but he was a drunkard. So it was a very interesting transition, and I liked his character in both. I thought he was very interesting, and I'll try to be reading more on him. Probably his Max run, I've heard, is good. And then, one other thing. I liked Masters of Kung Fu, the Battle Worlds one, because I got to see one of my favorite Inhumans, and by one of, I mean which is Karnak.
Karnak.
Love him.
He was pretty good in Civil War too. So far.
Oh my goodness, Karnak is the greatest. But he had a pretty awesome suit in that, and you need to check it out. That was a great storyline. All right, so do you have objections? Oh, first, did you figure out?
I did not. It's one of those newer age Spider-Man knockoffs that they.
Could it be just Spidey?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I'll figure it out later.
Let's move on then to our question of the week. And remember, you can ask your questions at comicbookdirect@gmail.com. That is comicbookdirect@gmail.com. And that can be a comment, a question, a concern, like a check-in. Like, those things that your relatives do where they're like...
Or your parole officer.
Or your parole officer, yeah. That... Can't believe you brought it so low, man.
Sorry.
I've been clean for, weeks now.
2.
Well,
2 weeks.
2 days. Yeah.
2
weeks.
days.
No, weeks. Definitely weeks.
Alright.
But yeah, if you just want to check in, you want to see how we were doing, like, hey, you've grown a lot since I last saw you, right? Like something like that. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would kind of mind.
You would?
I would be scared.
We will only be scared if you put down our respective heights correctly.
3
or
feet
even within 3 inches. I think that's a good margin of error, right?
We are both exactly 3'4".
We are midgets.
Nope.
What?
No, we're just
3'4" because we cut ourselves off at the knees.
Right.
And our knees are exactly 2 feet. So what are we? 5'4".
With knees.
With knees.
With knees.
All right. So, question of the week. You can submit it there. You can submit it on our website, which is also Comic Book Direct, but it's .weebly.com. Then you can even give us a review or something on iTunes. It won't help you with a question, but it will help us.
They're kind. They're nice. They're fun. Also, iFunny is another good way to contact us.
iFunny does work. All right. And our profiles on there are Bucky Barnes _LOH.com. Sorry. _LOH.
Nice.
Thanks, man. Flawless.
And mine is the notorious.
Nice.
Notoriously bad Contingency T.
Right. Yeah, that's his whole name. Notoriously bad Contingency T. All right. So, we gotta throw out a name here so that we don't reveal the name of this person.
Right, we want to protect the anonymity of our writer in... Yeah.
Perfect.
So today, this individual's name shall be... Not stalling for time. I am definitely not.
First thing that comes to mind. 3, 2, 1.
Power outlet.
Power outlet. Wow, I wonder where you got that magnificent name. All right, so Power Outlet writes, very, very strangely, I might add. It is
It's a bad font.
It's an iFunny comment, so keep in mind that those are sort of strange. Here's his question / comment / general topic of discussion. Political views of comic characters may be IDK. And for those of you who are not that hip, IDK stands for I'm Donkey Cool.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I could have gone with Donkey Kong. I had the easy setup, but you know me. Original as ever.
I suppose you are.
All right.
Anyways, so political views on comic characters and
maybe IDK.
Maybe IDK.
Right.
And by this, I'm assuming that he means if we were in politics, how would we describe comic book characters?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of beat around the bush, sort of describe them, but don't really get in depth.
How topical of you.
Thank you.
So Green Arrow, his new Rebirth series, which I also read this week, it was very liberal. It showed him as very liberal, which he usually is shown as.
And a liberal is a thing.
Right, yeah.
I do neither condone nor not condone
right.
it.
It is accepted in modern media, and maybe that's even going too far because it is accepted in some modern media, but then in others it is definitely not as accepted. But
here in politics, we don't want to force opinions.
Both are okay, yeah. Also, vote for me. Democrat.
Of course.
All right.
I just wanted to talk about, I had this really good string of emails.
Okay.
Discussing some important comic book stuff, but I did happen to delete those. I don't know where they went. I actually didn't delete those. That wasn't me.
Yeah. All right, so we had the potential for a lot more subscribers on our YouTube page, but I kind of built a wall and kept most of our subscribers just out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really, I mean,
I'm a lizard.
It's kind of a coincidence that they were all the same.
All of us in the government are lizards.
Okay, so back to beating around the bush, right?
So Iron Man, he has views and opinions, and some of them are good, some of them are not good.
So, do you think you could take on a berry bush, blackberry particularly?
Blackberry?
Do you think you could take on a blackberry bush in a fight, like a beatdown?
If I was Batman, then I could beat down a bush.
Okay.
With anything with preparation.
I mean, maybe the bush could win because, we don't want to provide any solid answers here, right?
It could.
Stay away from it.
But with preparation, Batman
with prep
could
time,
beat anything.
Yeah, of course. Naturally.
Of course.
Bro. Naturally,
Naturally.
man. You could knock him out. And with that, we're going to sign out. Remember, you can find us now on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us even on Spreaker. And you can find Batman literally wherever because he's omniscient.
As long as he has prep time.
As long as he has prep time, man. Like a day.
Like an hour.
We will see you guys.
Give him a solid 15 minutes and he could take down the rest of the Justice League.
Like Batman could knock out the Babylon.
Yeah.
Goodbye.